Another thing that I do with AI is to generate extensive reading. I think extensive reading is tremendously important for developing reading fluency, for developing vocabulary, for so many things. And it's also one of the most difficult things to acquire source texts for mid and lower level students. At the upper levels, we can take existing texts written for native speakers. We can teach, popular novels and things like that. But at the lower levels, extensive reading is sometimes very difficult to acquire. So in 2004, I was just really getting started with AI, and I was teaching a low level writing class. And so I decided, let's see if it can write a novel or a novella for us. So the prompt I gave it to start with, I didn't just say write the whole thing. I asked it to outline the chapters. I said, write the outline of a mystery novel. It should have more than one subplot. It should have some misdirection, 15 chapters, a happy ending, no murder, and the audience are young adult readers, which was true at the time for this class. And very nicely, it gave me a logical, interesting 15 chapter outline for a story. And you can see here a little overview of the first four chapters. So I took this overview that it gave me and then fed the components back into it and said, okay, I copied and pasted chapter one, the title, and the subpoints there, copied it back into ChatGPT and said, okay, just write me chapter one for this particular level of class using C4 levels. And it gave me, this is just a selection from it. So it, again, not Shakespeare, but functional, interesting, tells a story. And what I found was the first three or four chapters, maybe three, I could have ChatGPT write them almost entirely on its own. It put out a functional product for the chapter. It advanced the story. Every time I had it write a chapter, I just copied and pasted the notes that it had given me itself from the 15 chapter overview, and it would give me a new chapter. I had to, tweak a few things here and there, but overall it did fine. What I found though was the longer the novella got, the further into the story we got, the more difficulty it had in remembering context. It started to break down, change characters' names, forget some important details. So as things progressed, I found I had to do more oversight. So instead of just giving it its description of the chapter and assuming it could connect to all its previous writing, I had to kind of outline the chapter myself and had it write scenes in the chapter or write conversations, part of the dialogue, and then I pieced them together myself. A subsequent semester, I taught the class again, but these students were significantly lower level. So I was able to take the original text, feed it back to ChatGPT, and ask it to rewrite it for that lower level. And it did a fine job. Reduced vocabulary, but still the same ideas, some reduction in the complexity of sentence structures to make it accessible to those lower level students. So I ended up with a 15 chapter novella, and was able to give the students weekly extensive reading practice that built week after week on what had gone before. So all those benefits of extensive reading, having an existing context every time they come to a new chapter, those benefits were all available to my students because of being able to produce this text in a short amount of time.